career, I have seen justice and I've seen injustice. And part of the injustice that I've seen is this overcrowding and the way that we treat prisoners inside our jail. And I understand that there are people that need to be incarcerated. I've met them, absolutely I have. But I can also tell you there are people languishing in our system, and we can actually create safer communities and a better sheriff's office by helping people get back to their lives, helping people regain the dignity of being in the community, being reconnected with their family. Because for decades, and I mean decades, I watched this model of hard incarceration. That's what I call it. And the hard incarceration works like this. You come into jail and we take, probably you're going to forfeit your car, wherever you park that, it's going to get towed. You may lose your job, most likely, because you can't show up for days, weeks. You could lose your housing. We separate you from your family. You have very little contact with your children. You can't communicate with anybody on a regular basis, and you sit in our jail. Oftentimes, you can sit in that jail for 2 weeks before you get before a judge to even find out if you can get out or what's going to happen with your case. And, you know, what I say is then we looked at it, and what we did is we opened the door when it's time for you to leave our jail, and we say, now go out and do better with less. And you know, that just never made sense to me, and that's the system we need to fix. As sheriff, I will not only be in charge of the jail, but also law enforcement and the courts services, right? The court services are the deputies that handle security, hand out warrants, and do a number of other things in their daily job duties. We have different districts where you've seen our deputies out there, right? Because I explain to people the sheriff's office is law enforcement, jails, and courts. So you may live in Sims Township. If you do, then our deputies are out there. If you live in Anderson Township, we have a contract there. We are in Lincoln Heights. We have a contract there. We have District 1. And that has been our main district, our headquarters for many, many, many years since the inception of the sheriff's office. So at any rate, those are people that will be in my command as well. And you know, here's what I like people to also know. We had excellent, excellent deputies and officers and supervisors and support staff. We have excellent people that have dedicated their lives to what they do best, to the jail, to the road patrol. And I want to get back to those people because they want to help move the mark too. They don't want to stay in 1950. They don't want to be there either. There are people that are living in the now, and they understand the problems that we're faced with. So even though I may talk about things that went wrong in the jail, that I complained about, that I was seriously concerned about, I do want to let you know that there are many people who do great work in uniform. So I don't want that to be misunderstood. And, you know, I'm running for sheriff because I want to make the sheriff's department the best in the state and then the nation. And I absolutely think we can do it. People have said to me, well, you know, you're up against a mountain, you know, you got these men and you're running against a man and you're a woman and you want to be the sheriff and how are you going to do that? And I tell you, I am not intimidated in the least to march up that hill. You know, in my career, I have fought a lot of battles for people's rights, for the way we treat prisoners, the way we're going to do things appropriately, and I won a lot more than I lost. And I am confident because I know I have the experience, but I also have you. I have people like you who are interested in what we're doing and who are interested in helping. And I found that out as the major. When I saw that, when that experience happened to me, that's when it opened my world to, wow, we can do a lot better. And guess what? When we do better, we can expect prisoners to do better. We can expect people in communities to do better. And that's what I'm about. I'm about collaborating and communication, and I want to work with those officers down there and improve their working conditions, because they've been laboring under overtime and a tremendous turnover rate for years. And it's awful because they have a super hard job and they need help. And I'm going to do that as well. So that's who I am. And I will say this. Somebody did ask me the other day. They said, why do you want to do this? Right? Because I'm retired. You know, I could go to Florida. I don't know if I ever will, but I could. And, you know, so they say, why are you doing this? Well, I can tell you this. Number one, I'm not running against any one person, right? I am running because I have a passion for the job. I've seen what's possible, and I have a plan. And something else. One day I was walking in the jail, and I encountered a young man who was sitting on a bench. And he was seated on that bench waiting to be transported somewhere inside that jail. And as I walked up to him, I simply said to him, "Good morning, sir. How are you?" And do you know how he responded to me? He looked at me and he said, "You know what? I've been in this jail for a week and a half, and you are the first person to treat me with any respect, and I thank you." Those are his exact words. And it made me think about humanity and hope and human dignity and what it's like to be in a jail. And we have to pay attention to that. And we have to make that system better. So that's why I'm running for sheriff. And I'm doing really well. I have a lot of momentum. My primary is March 17th, which is St. Patrick's Day. And my name is McGuffey. Put that together, right, for your friends, and tell them too. I can use your help on social media. Share my stuff on social media, on my Facebook page. Tell your friends. I have signs. I am just ready to go out and talk to anyone that wants to know about me and what I want to do. And on that same note, I will take any questions that anyone has. And you can ask me anything. Yes, sir.
Major McGuffey, your presentation's been very positive, very impressive. You said there's a turnover. I had two questions. One, tell us about the morale among the deputies in the jail, because there's some questions there from what you said as to the morale. Second of all, it's been all positive about yourself, but give us 2 or 3 examples of how you're different from Sheriff Neal on whatever the policy is, 2 or 3 things that you're different on from him.
Absolutely, I can do that. So, first of all, the morale down at the jail, as I hear it, right? Officers talk to me. They see me out on the street, they stop me and talk to me, they call me, they message me, and they tell me, and I have it in writing, morale is the lowest it's ever been. You know, the officers are struggling because they have to work so much forced overtime. You know, they were working, I'll just give you an example. I ran into a young man and he said, he's been there a number of years. He said, I had to take my first discipline because I refused to work my third 16-hour shift in a row. My third 16-hour shift in a row as mandatory overtime. You can work your shift, the phone rings, and it's, hey, you got to stay for another 8. And you're within an hour of going home. I mean, and when that happens once, you're okay, you can sacrifice, you can get it done. But over and over again, it's tough. The officers want to have a leader who not only speaks well of them and puts them in a good light in the public eye, but also who cares about them. There was an officer who talked to me, and she had an issue, and she had to be taken to the hospital. She was days off work. It was a work issue that occurred with her as she was working with prisoners. And what she noted to me is nobody ever even called her. Nobody even went to see her. Nobody asked her how she was. And that's not good leadership for your people in uniform. They need to know that they're supported. So, to answer your next question, how am I different than Jim Neal? A lot of ways. Number one, I don't believe we need to build a new jail. That's number one. Let's fix the one we have. Let's find out what we can do inside the jail we have. You know how much money it's going to cost to build a new jail? I could tell you it cost $80 million to build the one we had in 1985 that we